I know some people like this movie. Some people are stupid.
Okay, Ryan, we're starting to see you for who you are.
You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. Second only to this star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
You want to know something? He's not so funny in real life.
Really?
No, he's not so funny. He's very serious.
Ryan Reynolds. The name alone conjures images of Deadpool's sarcastic wit, charming Instagram posts, and that seemingly perfect Hollywood marriage with Blake Lively. But what if everything you think you know about Ryan Reynolds is a carefully crafted illusion? What if the man behind the mask isn't the lovable, funny guy he pretends to be, but something far darker?
Well, Ryan Reynolds on the Enneagram is a psycho. That's what he is, just a psycho. His number is psycho.
This isn't just another Hollywood story. This is the unraveling of a persona, a deep dive into the truth that's been hidden for years. And by the end, you'll see Ryan Reynolds in a way you never have before.
Somebody revealed a source that says he had quite an experience demanding his makeup artist show up or get fired. I'll share that story for you.
It all started with a makeup artist. During the filming of Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds' personal makeup artist was out of the country, working on another project. A normal scheduling conflict, right? Not for Ryan. According to an inside source, Reynolds reportedly told the artist, "If you don't come back, you will never work in Hollywood again." Let that sink in. A threat to end someone's career over a scheduling issue.
Ryan Reynolds had to do some reshoots for the movie. His makeup artist was out of the country working. Ryan Reynolds threatened to fire the makeup artist off the rest of the film and the reshoots they had to do, and also said, "If you don't come back and do my makeup for these reshoots, you will never work in Hollywood again."
This wasn't just a moment of frustration. This was a calculated move by someone who believes they're untouchable. But why would Ryan Reynolds, the so-called nice guy of Hollywood, do something like this?
That's so gross and weird and manipulative.
The answer lies in his need for control. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pattern of behavior that's been carefully hidden behind a wall of PR and carefully curated social media posts. And this was just the tip of the iceberg.
Ryan Reynolds, by all accounts, seems like a great guy. He is acting. By all accounts, he is a total pain in the ass.
When Deadpool became a massive success, Ryan Reynolds didn't just bask in the glory. He seized it. The original director, Tim Miller, who helped bring the film to life, was pushed out before Deadpool 2.
Why? They weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy, and now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle.
Because Reynolds wanted full control. He wanted to be the star, the director, the producer, everything. And he wasn't willing to compromise. Miller later admitted, "Ryan wanted full control, and I wasn't willing to fight every single decision." Translation: Reynolds turned into an overgrown toddler who refused to share the sandbox. But it wasn't just directors who felt the brunt of his ego.
I'm really bad at
keeping a straight face around TJ Miller. Everyone knows that on our set. We lost days to me. Yeah.
Co-stars like Maureen Baccarin, who played Wade Wilson's love interest in the first film, were sidelined in Deadpool 2.
Why?
Because she reportedly had a disagreement with Reynolds on set. Instead of handling it professionally, Reynolds allegedly made sure she was iced out of promotional events, excluded from press tours, and left out of group photos. It was as if she wasn't even in the movie. This wasn't just petty. This was power play at its worst.
No one knew who he was beforehand. Everyone knows who he is now. If he is a smart sociopath, he'll work that to his advantage.
Well, Ryan Reynolds on the Enneagram is a psycho. That's what he is. He's just a psycho. His number is psycho.
TJ Miller, who played Weasel in Deadpool, didn't hold back when talking about Reynolds. He described him as genuinely mean on set. Not in a joking way. Not as part of the character. Just mean.
On Deadpool, where he said, "Let's do one more take." And everyone was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me. But to me.
Cathartic.
As if I'm Weasel.
Miller recalled a moment when Reynolds, in character as Deadpool, said something horrifically mean to him. But it wasn't Deadpool talking. It was Ryan. And it wasn't funny. It was cruel. Miller's words were damning. He was weirdly mean to me. Not as a joke.
So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star. But you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
Just genuinely rude. Imagine being so unbearable that even a comedian, someone whose job is to find humor in everything, can't pretend your behavior is acceptable. This wasn't just about Reynolds being difficult. This was about him using his power to belittle others. And it wasn't just Miller who felt it.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star, and this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out, and I think I was so vulnerable and comfortable.
Rebecca Ferguson, the star of Dune and Mission Impossible, once spoke about an absolute idiot of a co-star she worked with. She didn't name names, but the dots aren't hard to connect. The movie was Life, 2017, and her co-stars were Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal. While Gyllenhaal has stayed silent,
That I got screamed at, but because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had my back.
Ferguson's description of an insecure and angry actor who couldn't handle the scenes matches Reynolds' alleged behavior. Ferguson was so uncomfortable that she refused to act directly with this person. Instead, she demanded to act toward a tennis ball. Imagine being so insufferable that your co-star would rather look at a tennis ball than at you.
And I remember the next day I walked on and I said, you get off my set. This is the first time I've ever spoken. I remember being so scared. And I looked at this person and I said, you can F off. I'm going to work towards a tennis ball. I never want to see you again.
This wasn't just a bad day on set. This was a toxic environment created by someone who couldn't handle not being the center of attention. Scarlett Johansson, Reynolds' ex-wife, once described him as passive-aggressively jealous. At the time, it seemed like a throwaway comment, but now it feels like a warning. Johansson, a powerhouse in her own right, didn't need Reynolds, and that, according to insiders, was the problem. Reynolds couldn't handle being with a woman whose career overshadowed his. So, he moved on to Blake Lively, a woman whose career was still on the rise. But even Blake hasn't been immune to Reynolds' controlling nature. Their marriage, often portrayed as the epitome of Hollywood perfection, has been called into question. Are the Instagram jokes and public displays of affection just a PR stunt?
Let's kind of torture each other in the best way possible.
We really do. I gotta dig some.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. You're great.
Blake, my wife, is very good at cooking, and Jake might be just a little bit better.
Really?
Yeah, he can throw
Does it
down.
get competitive?
A way to rebuild Reynolds' image after his divorce from Johansson? The cracks are starting to show, and the truth is harder to ignore.
Now you see that Jake Gyllenhaal has also unfollowed Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, and Blake Lively. But apparently he didn't unfollow them until they had already unfollowed him.
Jake Gyllenhaal, once one of Reynolds' closest friends, has gone silent. When asked about Reynolds in recent interviews, Gyllenhaal's response was icy. I have nothing to say about him. This isn't just a falling out. This is a complete rejection.
Any words for Ryan, seeing as the next time we talk to him, he will be seeing this?
I have nothing to say to him.
And Gyllenhaal isn't alone. Directors like Quentin Tarantino and Chris Columbus have publicly criticized Reynolds, calling his projects cash grabs and his ideas insults to cinema.
We know you have an ongoing feud with Ryan.
Who?
You know that guy. What's it gonna take for him to actually be BFFs with you?
Well, I mean, in truth, there was a time in which we were.
Even Gerard Butler, when asked about Reynolds' movie Free Guy, admitted, I don't know what that is. I don't watch his movies. Imagine being in Hollywood for decades and having your peers openly dismiss your work. This isn't just a bad review. This is a sign that Reynolds' empire is crumbling. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have been the poster couple for Hollywood perfection. But is it real? Or is it just another PR campaign? The constant Instagram jokes, the carefully curated public appearances, It all feels a little too perfect. And now, with Blake's legal battles and Reynolds' scandals, the facade is starting to crack. Blake's career has always been tied to Reynolds. She's been riding the wave of their power couple branding for years. But if Reynolds' reputation continues to fall, what happens to Blake? Can she stand on her own? Or is she just another casualty of Reynolds' need for control?
Even if it's true, it's so just... This movie somehow was a magnet for awful people.
Ryan Reynolds isn't just losing friends in Hollywood. He's losing the goodwill of the public. The man who once seemed like the funniest guy in the room is now being exposed as a controlling, insecure, and toxic figure. His humor, once seen as witty and charming, is now coming off as mean-spirited and exhausting. His need for control is no longer seen as passion. It's seen as desperation. The truth is, Ryan Reynolds isn't the nice guy he pretends to be. He's a man who's spent years building a persona, only to have it unravel in the most public way possible. And as the cracks continue to show, one thing is clear: the mask is slipping, and what's underneath isn't pretty. As Hollywood turns its back on Ryan Reynolds, the question isn't just about his career. It's about his legacy. Will he be remembered as the lovable Deadpool? Or will he be remembered as the man who couldn't handle not being the star? The truth is out there. And it's only a matter of time before the world sees Ryan Reynolds for who he really is.